First a trickle, then a flood. We got a good one for you today. India and crypto, they've been back and forth. We'll get into it on the latest events. Bahamas moving forward with CBDCs, and check it out. Fidelity and Goldman revealed their position with latest move toward crypto. The CBOE says not so fast on this crypto business. We might want to sell some too. Benoit Coyer from the BIS Innovation Hub lets us all know where all of this payments with digital currencies really is going, and it's pretty awesome. SBI, are they turning on the lights for small medium enterprises? That's right, SMEs. Let's take a look at it. Roll that beautiful intro. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You guys can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove and everything that we're talking about here. Let's go ahead and get into this. XRP ringing in right now at 49 cents. It's off by 10.17% on the 24-hour. We're up just 5.48 on the 7-day now, losing most of what we gained over the last couple days. But fear not. If we don't go below that 47 mark, I think we're still in that conversation about talking about 80-cent range to $1 and obviously beyond after that. So if it doesn't go but down below 47 and remain below 47, that to me says we're still in that channel where we can go back up and test that 67-cent mark, which has been a massive resistance level for us. Hopefully we can breach that and turn it into support. We'll keep an eye on it. Okay, looking right here, I want to start with this from Mr. Yo-Yo, who happens to have a private group if you want to join that and support him and get information directly. This here is Steve Forbes talking about the new digital currency that could save the global economy. Well, let's just talk about this. What is this?
Here's how cryptocurrencies can rescue the world. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to help navigate this turbulent world. You would never know it from all the happy talk coming out of the Federal Reserve and other central banks, but inflation is a looming threat. Governments, including the U.S., are spending money on a scale not seen since World War II, and most of it is being financed by printing massive amounts of money, the prime formula for firing up inflation big time and boosting interest rates. What can be done? Amazingly, the solution may come out of Latin America, which has chronically been a hotbed of debilitating inflation. A new kind of cryptocurrency may emerge that will eventually be used around the world. Take Argentina, the third largest economy there, and which has destroyed its currency countless times. The country today is in the grips of another terrible inflation, with prices rising at a rate of 50% a year. For a long time, astute observers in Argentina and elsewhere have advocated that Argentina ditch its habitually abused peso and make the U.S. dollar its official currency. Several smaller Latin American nations, Ecuador, Panama, and El Salvador, have dollarized their economies. The politicians hate it, but the voters love it. Argentinian politicians would never dollarize for nationalistic reasons. But the fact is that the dollar is the unofficial currency for transactions in Argentina, as it is now in inflation-battered Venezuela. Now here we get the opportunity for one of history's biggest monetary revolutions, creating a cryptocurrency tied, in this case, to the dollar that can be easily used for everyday transactions and longer-term contracts, like mortgages, car payments, or bonds. Unfortunately, most crypto creators think success is a currency that can rapidly rise in price, a la Bitcoin and others this past year.
And he goes on, and then it kind of meanders out of the conversation. But the reality is, this is Steve Forbes discussing the potential for a new crypto or digital currency that is associated with the dollar, albeit if he's talking about a digital dollar or a token that could serve as a digital currency, regardless of the dollar, I should say. So this is exciting when you start to see people in the mainstream, like Steve Forbes, talking about notions like this. We're getting much closer, and you're about to find a lot more evidence of that in this video today, right now. Steve Gould-Bronson, shout out to you and Joni. 85 million XRP shifted by Ripple, European ODL corridor, and other market players just tells me that Ripple is a global business, and so is the use of XRP in the XRP ledger, regardless of the SEC versus Ripple case. And I don't mean to diminish that. It is obviously a very real thing, and I feel like the world is waiting for some kind of resolution in that matter, or maybe they'll fire up. But I tell you what, they are certainly waiting at this point, because Japan, Singapore, the UK, and other areas of the world do not need the US SEC to tell them anything. But yet they still are not using it to a degree that we feel that utility has taken over the actual price action. So until that happens, I'm not going anywhere. I can guarantee you that. But let's keep on, because this is what's unfolding in the space collectively. So Reserve Bank of India is assessing digital rupee's impact on financial stability, says the governor. And I'm not even going to try to mess that name up. So shout out to you. All right. So this here is a really, really great tweet from Michael Val 5 Links. It says, they know something we don't. Leading U.S. cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase has announced it's establishing a business presence in India, despite uncertain regulatory headwinds for crypto in the country. India has been one of these countries that is just absolutely teetering back and forth between, well, we're going to do crypto, tomorrow we're not. And it literally has been like that for quite a while. So it does lead one to wonder, does Coinbase know something that we don't? Great tweet, Michael. Great tweet. First, the trickle, then the flood. Another great one from Michael Val 5 Links, showing us that CBDC development around the world is moving forward very, very quickly. The Bank of Jamaica, and I said Bahamas, I think, in the opener, so forgive me for that. It's actually the Bank of Jamaica is planning to pilot its central bank digital currency in May, and is working with Ireland-based technology firm eCurrency Mint to support the rollout. So now we have the Bahamian government that has already been piloting their CBDC. Now Jamaica is doing the same thing. We know that out of the 85% of the central banks, 65% of them, I believe, if I still remember the numbers correctly or accurately, are well in the piloting phase of the CBDC rollout. So this is getting exciting, but it gets even better. Because one, we know that Bridgewater, Ray Dalio, has said not only could we see heavy taxes on things like Bitcoin and gold to deal with some kind of a shock to the markets, because he sees some trouble coming, as a lot of us do, and I certainly do as well, in the economy. And you could see a big sell-off, or as they say, a correction in the stock market. What is that, 20, 30, 40%? I don't know what it'll be. But the reality is, he has suggested in an interview that we covered here a few days ago that you could see a heavy carbon tax put on things like Bitcoin, and then a tax added to gold as well. And why would this be? This would be to discourage the big long-term investors from moving out of the bond market, which would cause even more problems to the monetary system than we have now from the printing that won't stop. So that is, in short, what he's been talking about. Now, it goes a little further here to say that there's a good probability that the U.S. government could ban Bitcoin, just as it did with gold ownership in the 1930s. Now, that is a bit extreme, but, you can't take it off the table until you can take it off the table. So for now, it's on the table. But one does have to wonder, is Bridgewater and Ray Dalio talking their book? If you don't know what talking their book is when you are a person of note or influence in a market. You can go out into the media and say, I don't think that is good. And while you're saying publicly you don't think that is good, you and your company are actually buying a lot of it, because you have influence, and you can actually influence the market through public media and interviews And if the market responds negatively because you're a person of influence, you can use that to your advantage to load up on said asset that you said was no good. And then sometime later, when it all takes off, you will be the beneficiary of the price going up because you were able to buy the dip that you helped create. This is not illegal, and it is called talking your book. That's what it's called. So we don't know if it's that or just him plain giving you what he sees. We will see. CBOE, Chicago Board of Options Exchange, keen to meet high demand for crypto from retail institutions, says the CEO. We are still interested in the space. We haven't given up on it. We are keen on building out the entire platform. In other words, CBOE, which has been around forever, says, hey, hey, hold up. Don't go over there and get that stuff. You come here. We're trusted. We have brand awareness. We have the credibility, right? People know our name and it's trusted, right? I'm tired of seeing these exchanges get all these fees when you could just come here and get it yourself. And you know what? To build on the idea that somebody may be talking their book, I don't know whether it's Ray or someone else, we see that it's not bothering Fidelity what everybody thinks about Bitcoin because they just made a new filing with the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission that indicates the asset management giant is seeking to create a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund. But wait for it, it's not over. So is Goldman Sachs. And it just happens to be while Ray Dalio is beating up Bitcoin. Could be a talking the book thing going on here. Now, I know he's at Bridgewater. He's not at Goldman. I know he's at Bridgewater and he's not at Fidelity. But that doesn't mean that it's not a benefit to him to talk it. I don't know. I know the dollar strength is up right now and the crypto market is a bit down. And that usually is a good correlation between dollar strength and weakness. So we'll keep an eye on it. This is from Benoit Coyer from the BIS Innovation Hub. And he takes a second here to do a couple tweets that I want to go through with you here. One, he retweets the BIS, which is the International Cooperation and Private Sector, need to help enforce standards as well as disclose integrity. And then he tags everybody who's a who's who in finance and central banking. Then we come down to his tweet that was captioned, his quoted tweet, a big thank you to Christine Lagarde and Mark Carney for joining the BIS Summit and addressing sustainable growth and the urgency of climate action, which means going green, eliminating paper, getting off of the old financial payment rails. Make no mistake, this is exactly what they're talking about. We discussed climate disclosure in the financial system and much more aligning incentives along value chains. He goes on to say, using satellites to track emissions, mobilizing digital money and smart contracts, and why rewiring our economy for the digital transformation and for the sustainable transformation go hand in hand. Now, this is one of those things that says, well, maybe Ray Dalio is not talking his book, because every bit of what you just heard here is about going green and sustainable energy and getting to a new financial system that is carbon net neutral, right? Which is everything that proof of work in Bitcoin, unfortunately, is not. The jury's still out. Anyway, moving on here, we have this, and I wanted to share this, and shout out one to Val Jester Locke, and shout out to P2P Gold. I wanted to share this, and guess who's launching a supply chain? That's right, it's SBI Bonco. And we get into this, and here is the article here. It says, SBI Group subsidiary BiFin launches first multi-industry SBI Bonco deep tier supply chain finance platform with Root Ant. Now, I'm not going to go too far into this, but I will say that SBI Bonco is a strategic partnership between the platform operator BiFin, and it says here it's a SBI Group member company, and Singapore-based fintech company Root Ant Global, a digital banking platform technology provider, cash-strapped small medium enterprises known as SMEs have suffered the most from the pandemic, whereby survival has become their primary concern. On the other hand, large corporations have struggled not only to optimize their working capital, but also to digitalize their current operations and build resiliency into their supply chain. Now, looking at the SBI Bonco site, it just shows here and breaks down that the World Economic Forum estimated that a significant supply chain disruptions reduced share price of companies as much by 7%. A key reason is the lack of adequate visibility over your supply chain. I can attest to this. When you do any kind of trade finance and you order things from the other side of the world, you make that deal, it gets on a boat, and you just wait. There's no tracker. There's nothing going. You're just like, well, let me know when it comes into the port, and sometimes the manufacturer call you. Sometimes you might get a message from customs. It is a mess. And in 2021, it needs to not be a mess. And that's what we're leaning into here. And what it looks like to me is that obviously SBI is setting up to serve the small, medium enterprises, which is a lower height bar for regulatory framework. I don't care what country you're in, easier market to serve, and certainly a viable market to serve. So then you understand that SBI is moving in this direction to set up this new path for SMEs to use and be digitalized and using it, and to speed up their supply chain, security, tracking, all of it, efficiency, you name it. It's the whole thing. But one has to wonder if they're hooking up this market infrastructure for those entities, those SMEs, then we have to go back to late last year when we got SBI to test XRP in the $6.6 trillion foreign exchange market. So you're thinking to myself, because it hit me this morning. I was like, well, that was impressive when we covered it, that SBI was testing XRP in that market, basically as a bridge currency for settlement, and how it compared to all the different currencies offered in the FX market, right? When I think about that, then I start saying, hey, maybe that's the liquidity pool to settle all this stuff they're going to do for small, medium enterprises. Oh, one has to wonder. But nevertheless, again, Singapore, Japan, all these other countries that are already settled as to what XRP is and what cryptocurrencies are, tells me that this is a globally coordinated effort that they have not taken off yet. But that doesn't mean that won't happen, because we're watching the market infrastructure really start to develop and open up in places like with SBI and the things that they're doing with the SMEs and testing in the FX market, right, and the whole bit. So we could see some other faction, like whether it be Japan or the UK or some other area, fire up at some point while this melees of court case and indecision of settlement here on XRP still continues in the US. And wouldn't that be the best evidence to any judge that this thing has utility and the world sees it as currency? Maybe so. All right, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Make sure you share with somebody you know, and check out all the links in the description box and the comment section. They are trusted, vetted links. Don't forget, it is March Madness, ladies and gentlemen. Unstoppable Domains is unstoppable, and there are still some fantastic names out here that you can get for this new category all month. They still are, and I think they may even continue into next month with new .crypto categories being offered for the first time ever. If you're into NFTs, make sure you check them out. I'll catch all of you on the next one.